Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm going to be doing another makeup look today that coincides with one of the 12 colour season analysis. Now if you don't know what the colour season analysis is, it's basically where you take into account your skin tone, your eye colour, your hair colour, your skin tone, whether you suit warm or cool colours, and from that information you decide whether you fit into the cool categories, which are either summer or winter, or the warm categories, which are spring and autumn. And I got into this about a year or two ago, I think, and ever since getting into it I have kind of flitted back and forth between being an autumn or a spring. Now I have warm colouring. I actually have sort of neutral to warm colouring, so because of that I am either a spring or an autumn. And I recently paid to have a stylist analyse my skin tone, my hair colour, all of that, and the results of that was that I was an autumn. Now with the results of that, it didn't say exactly what type of autumn I fitted into, but the results did give me some colours within my palette that suit me, and a lot of them I feel matched the soft autumn category. And I did recently upload a video where I did a soft autumn makeup look, and I very much felt like that was me. It was my kind of colours, it was all these kind of like earthy browns, very neutral, natural makeup, and also the techniques as well and the finishes were the type of techniques and finishes that I tend to do on a daily basis anyway. So I felt like the results of being an autumn and what I think a soft autumn, I felt like that was a very harmonious with myself. A lot of the makeup, a lot of the colours of the clothes that I own do fit within that category, so I felt very happy with that result. However, I do a lot of research at the moment on things like colour season analysis, also Kibi body styling, and I have seen videos on TikTok from a user called Carol Brayley, who is an expert in colour season analysis. She says that if you are a natural blonde, you cannot be an autumn. However, I think she uses and correct me if I'm wrong if anybody knows her techniques more than I do, I think she follows the 16 colour season analysis, whereas what I did in my video was the 12, and a lot of the information you get out there as well is about the 12 season colour analysis, not the 16. But she did say that if you are a natural blonde you cannot be an autumn, so that it either puts you into sort of like spring or summer, but as I know I am warm, that means that I would be a spring and not an autumn. So I've just been thinking about that really, and I did say in my soft autumn makeup video that I would be interested in trying out a spring makeup look. So I've kind of gone for, as best as I can, some spring clothes today, although I think you could possibly argue that this is maybe an autumn colour as well. I don't own a lot of spring coloured clothes, so actually finding something to wear for this video was really difficult. I own a lot of warm clothes in terms of tone and colour, but I feel like a lot of them sit into the autumn category and not the spring category, so I think that's an interesting sign to start off with. Now in the soft autumn makeup video I followed the advice on the concept wardrobe, and I'm going to do the same today, and I have the notes up on my phone here from the website. Now there are 3 types of spring categories. You have your bright spring, where your primary aspect is bright and your secondary aspect is warm. Now looking at myself, I don't think my colouring, my hair, my skin tone is bright. I think it's warm, but I don't think brightness is the first thing you notice about me when you see me. There's also light spring, where the primary aspect is light and the secondary aspect is warm. Now this one I feel like I might fit into a bit more because I am light. My skin tone is very light, I am quite pale. However, my hair, as a natural blonde, and this is my natural hair by the way, all of this is natural apart from the very ends because I am growing out some bleach highlights. Although I am a natural blonde, I'm not a natural bright light blonde like you would expect, you know, that stereotypical person to look like from Scandinavia or Sweden or somewhere, where they've got the really bright, light, vibrant blonde hair. Mine isn't like that. Mine is a dark blonde. It does have warmth in it. It's like honey coloured, golden, but it is dark, it's not light. Now my hair is weird because there are some days where I wake up and I look at myself in the mirror and I go, yeah, I look quite blonde today. Other days I'll look like a light brunette. And then on other days, I will look like a redhead. I will look a little bit ginger in tone, a little bit auburn. So my hair naturally is very, very weird. So that's why I think that I might belong better in the autumn category compared to the spring category, even though I am a natural blonde. So the category that leaves left over is the true spring category. So I think out of all of the 3 spring categories, true spring is the one that I would fit into. So for true springs, the primary aspect is warm and the secondary aspect is bright. Now I do think there is warmth, not necessarily in my skin because my skin is sort of like neutral warm, but my hair definitely has warmth in it. My hair, I don't think, and again correct me if you think differently, I don't think that there is much kind of like ashiness within my hair. I feel like there is a good amount of warmth within it. So I agree with the primary aspect possibly being warm, but not so much with the bright. Again, I don't look at myself and go, oh, my skin is really bright, my hair is really bright. This is where I feel like I do fit into autumn, and soft autumn in particular, because I feel like my skin is a little bit greyed out, my hair and my skin is a bit muted. I feel like somebody's taken the saturation level on a picture of me and just toned it down a little bit. But like I say, out of all of the springs, I do think true spring would be the type of spring that I would fall into. So I'm gonna zoom you in a little bit and do a makeup look that coincides with a true spring. Now before we really get into it, I'm gonna start my makeup how I always do. I need some colour correction under my eyes, so I'm gonna use Bobbi Brown Colour Corrector in Light Bisque. Okay, so a bit of colour correction done, let's move on to foundation. Now it says for foundation, the skin tone of a true spring is warm with golden undertones, but like I said, I'm kind of like neutral warm, so I don't see a lot of gold within my skin. Now foundation of course has to be colour match for you, so there's no recommendations on the exact colour. However, there are recommendations on the finish, and the finish is best when foundation and concealer are dewy, natural, creamy, radiant or sheer. Now I tend to stay away from finishes like dewy and sheer. I don't like anything hugely dewy, hugely glowy on my face. But the product I am going to use is my Project Pan product, which I don't have a lot of left now. My bareMinerals Complexion Rescue, so it's like a tinted moisturiser. However, I have woken up today with some breakouts, not sure why. So I don't really think this is the best day for me to be wearing this type of makeup, but I'm going to go for it anyway. And then I'm going to go in with concealer, so hopefully that will help as well. The recommendations also say to stay away from matte finishes because a true spring's complexion is bright. You don't want anything matte that's gonna, I suppose, tone down that brightness. So that's interesting in that it's quite different from what's recommended for the soft autumn, where the recommendations are on a scale from like dewy to matte, you want to be more towards the matte end, but you still want your skin to look radiant. So it's interesting to do the comparisons. And that is my bareMinerals Complexion Rescue finished. I finished it on camera. Now I don't really have, I suppose, dewy radiant concealers, so I'm just going to use the ones that are in my Project Pan, which are my Fenty Concealers. Now nothing is said about powder for true spring, but as the suggestions are to keep the skin looking radiant and glowy and dewy and bright, I'm assuming you want to use as little powder as possible because that's going to mattify it, tone it down a bit. So I am just going to use a little bit under my eyes to stop my concealer from creasing, a little bit on the T-zone here, and then just a touch on the forehead where I do get a little bit oily, and that is going to be it for powder. So the guide says that as a warm season, springs can wear bronzers, but you want to go for a spring bright bronzer rather than like an autumn rich bronzer. Now I don't have a huge amount of choice in terms of bronzers, but because the skin wants to be quite dewy and fresh and glowy, radiant, I'm going to go for a cream bronzer. This is my Fenty bronzer in the shade Butter Biscuit. This will add hopefully a nice bit of sort of glow and warmth. So blushes should be peach base and they should have some shimmer, and the one that kind of fits that category within my collection is Milani Luminoso. Now this is a powder and I am aware that I am going to go over a cream product with a powder product, but hopefully it won't look too bad. But for blushes for true springs, you want to avoid anything matte. Again, it's keeping in with the whole looking bright and looking glowy and radiant. Very pretty blusher. I do really enjoy this one. This one is in my current Shop My Stash, and although I'm not a huge fan of like shimmery blushes, I feel like this one just adds a little bit of something, so you don't really need to go in with a highlighter over the top. Before we get onto eyes, I'm just going to prime with my Nyx Eyeshadow Base. Okay, onto eyeshadows now, and the guide says that neutral eyeshadows are creams, beiges and browns. You want to go for creamy consistencies and shimmer finishes, and with this website, like it did for the soft autumn, it does give you some shade suggestions down there. Now I'm going to keep things very simple. I am going to go for 2 shimmers. I've got my MAC palette here. I'm going to go for this one up here, which is all that glitters, and then darken up a little bit with Expensive Pink. I'll swatch these for you as well. They are very beautiful, like soft apricot warm shades, very neutral, very natural, but add a little bit more colour compared to the shades for a neutral look for a soft autumn. And as you can see as well, very shimmery. So I'm going to put these on the lid, starting with all that glitters. Now, I don't often wear a fully shimmery eye. I do quite like a shimmer. I'm not averse to putting some shimmer on the lid, but I wouldn't go all shimmer. And then taking some of Expensive Pink in the outer corner. These 2 shades are really pretty. So for eyeliners, you do have the choice of going for colourful options or go for an eyeliner that is close to your eye colour, but I don't really have like a greeny bluey eyeliner, so I'm just going to use a warm brown, which is also suggested. I'm going to use MAC Teddy just to run a little bit on my upper lash line. I also just did a little bit in my brows as well, so I used an eyebrow gel and then a brow pencil. Nothing's mentioned about eyebrows on the website, but I like to keep my eyebrows looking fairly natural, so hopefully that coincides with the guidelines for a true spring. Next, I'm going to do some mascara. I'm going to go for a brown mascara, which is suggested for true springs. This is my Eyeko Cocoa Edit Mascara. Black mascaras are too heavy for both springs and autumns. You want to stick to the warmer shades that are more in harmony with your skin tone, and brown mascaras are better for that than black mascaras. And finally on to lips now, and lip colours should be warm, medium intensity, not too dark. Peaches are usually more nude lips, while brighter oranges and corals make for a bold lip, and you want to go for glossy, luster, shiny or satin finishes and avoid matte lipsticks. You also want to avoid cool colours as well, because they will clash with your warm complexion. And the colour that I'm going to go for is a peachy, corally orange shade. It's by MAC and it's the Nic Chapman one, and it is this shade here, so hopefully that should tie in quite nicely with the base makeup and the lips. So let's give this a go. So that's a couple of coats of the lipstick, and then I've just tidied it up with a little bit of MAC Oak Lipliner. So this is the finished makeup look. So what do you guys think? I actually quite like it. Now, I'll be honest, I do prefer the soft autumn makeup look. I do think that one suits me better, but I do like this one. I don't think it looks bad, but I don't think it looks as good as the soft autumn one. And my reasons for that is that the base is a lot more dewy and a lot more shimmery and radiant than I would usually go for. I would powder a little bit more. I would put probably a bit more along my T-zone, but I tried to keep powder to the bare minimum for this look. I don't often go for a lot of oranges, a lot of coral, and I've got it on the eyes, the cheeks and the lips. I'm also not a massive fan of this lipstick on me. I love it on other people. Whenever I see other people wearing it, I think it looks brilliant, but for some reason it doesn't quite work on me, and I think that's because I don't think I'm a spring. I don't think I have the brightness and the vitality and the radiance in my skin to pull off colours like that. I think I'm better at using and wearing colours that are a lot more muted, a lot more earthy, rather than vibrant like this. But I do like it. I think it is pretty. I really quite like the eyes actually. I think out of my MAC palette, those 2 colours are my favourite. So I like it. I like that it is natural. It's not a load of makeup. It's not hugely bright, hugely vibrant or dark. And I do think there are some elements of the True Spring makeup palette that I would implement. But I do just feel a bit more comfortable, a bit more me in the soft autumn makeup. But as an autumn, as somebody who has a warm complexion, a warmer makeup like this suited for a spring, hopefully, won't look bad on me. And like I say, there are some elements from the spring makeup palette and techniques that I could add into my autumn techniques and colour palette. But I think the soft autumn makeup looks better on me, is what I prefer. But please let me know what your thoughts are in the, not in the description box, in the comments down below. Please let me know whether you preferred this look, the true spring makeup look, or whether you preferred the soft autumn makeup look. But I hope you liked the video. I hope it was useful or interesting or entertaining. If you know your season, if you know much more about colour seasons than I do, please drop me a comment down below. And if you're not already subscribed, please also subscribe. It would be lovely to have you here. And I'll see you again soon for my next one. Bye.